Well, dear students, let's come to the first PUC classes of human physiology. We are doing it now. Today we'll be talking about digestion. We'll try to complete. Most of the portions have been deleted, but as far as NEET PUC is concerned, we have to tackle this. So, in the previous class, we have discussed about the alimentary canal. Today we'll be discussing about the glands. In previous class, I have told you we have discussed about salivary glands, right? Then we have discussed gastric glands. Then we have discussed about liver, then pancreas, then intestinal glands. Clear? Salivary glands, there are three pairs of salivary glands. I have told you pair of sublingual glands present below the tongue, pair of submaxillary or submandibular present near the junction of the jaws, and pair of parotid gland near the ear. All these six glands, they produce around 1 to 1.5 liter of saliva per day in normal adult healthy person. Normal adult healthy person, they produce about 1 to 1.5 liter of saliva. This saliva consists of salivary amylase. Salivary amylase. ACE is an enzyme that digests the amylose part of the starch. Fine. Apart from that, saliva has one more enzyme that is known as a lysozyme, but that enzyme will be talking in case of immunity in immunology 8th chapter 2nd year human health and diseases, because that enzyme acts as a bacteriolytic enzyme, thereby help in killing the bacteria or bacterial cells that enter into the mouth, right? Because that enzyme has lytic properties. It lyses the cell wall of the bacteria thereby. So it is known as lysozyme. That's also found present in saliva. But as far as the digestive system is concerned, we have to talk about the amylase enzyme that digests the amylose part of the starch. Right? Then it is slightly acidic in nature, slightly acidic. It has some salts also, clear, and it helps. So digestion starts in the mouth. So in the digestion, mouth mastication with the help of teeth, whatever the chew mechanical digestion takes place with the help of mixing. I have told this point in detail. Mixing of the saliva is known as bolus. Right? Apart from that, gastric glands, you all know that I have told the four parts of the stomach, right? Cardiac, fundus, body, pylorus. Here we come across the foldings. Those foldings are known as rugae. At the base of the rugae, we have glands known as gastric. Gastric or gastro refers to stomach part. Right? So gastric glands, they secrete gastric juice. What they secrete? It's 1 to 1.5 liter. I have told you earlier also, it is directly proportional to the production of saliva, secretion of saliva from the salivary glands. That's why we have to chew the food completely and properly. So here also 1 to 1.5 liter of gastric juice is also secreted from gastric glands in stomach. So basically this consists of HCl, hydrochloric acid, which is concentrated hydrochloric acid. The pH is around from 2, pH is 2 or 3 up to 3. Clear? 2.1, 2.2 like that. So highly acidic, very corrosive in nature. I have told you the mucous membrane, it avoids self-digestion, all those things. Now we'll talk about the functions of this here. It has gastric lipase also, which digests the simple lipids, right? Because this lipase enzyme digests in the simple lipids here. So gastric lipase. Apart from that, this HCl, which is these gastric glands are made up of three types of cells: chief cells, right? Clear, oxyntic cells, right? Goblet cells, right? Chief cells secrete enzymes. Oxyntic cell secretes HCl. Goblet cell secretes mucus, right? Parietal cells, they are also known as, right? So these gastric glands are of three types: chief cells, oxyntic cells, goblet cells. Goblet cell secretes mucus, oxyntic cell secretes HCl, chief cell secretes enzymes, right? Clear. So the other function of HCl is to activate clear, the digestive system in acidic medium, and also it kills the bacteria that is found present in the stomach, in mouth, in bolus or food, whatever. That bacteria will be killed because of the presence of HCl. So here thereby we can prevent the fermentation and gas production, yet also takes place, gastritis or gas production takes place. So this is the function of the HCl. Liver secretes bile juice, right? Liver is a multifunctional organ, right? Multifunctional organ. It helps in most of the physiological functions and almost all the systems like digestive, excretory, circulatory, right? Immune system also it helps. So multifunctional organ, liver. So that's why nature has given one more property of regeneration to liver, so that it is a multi-purpose organ. In digestion, it secretes an enzyme. It secretes a juice called, it secretes a digestive juice called bile juice, Whereas bile juice cannot be stored, won't be stored in liver. That's why I told you, since liver is a multifunctional organ, it cannot store its secretion. That has to be stored in gallbladder. When it is stored, means temporarily stored in gallbladder. From gallbladder through hepatopancreatic duct, it comes to ileum part of the small intestine. That part also I have told you. Right? It is temporarily stored in gallbladder. Now, though bile juice also produced around 500 to 800 ml. How much? Around 500 to 800 ml per day in normal adult healthy person. Whereas it is basic in nature. What do you mean by basic? Alkaline in nature. Whereas, fine, clear? The difference here is gastric juice is highly acidic, saliva is slightly acidic, it is highly acidic, and here this digestion is taking place in the small intestine where the alkaline medium will be there. Thereby, this bile juice is also alkaline, highly alkaline, fine, and around, it produces around 500 ml to 800 ml per day in normal adult healthy person. Now, the magic here is this bile juice, though it's a digestive juice, we have told you digestion is nothing but it's a process of enzymes. Whereas this bile juice don't have any enzymes. Bile juice don't have any enzymes. Now then we can ask what is the question, what is the function of bile juice, right? It helps in the clear assimilation of vitamins. Assimilation of fat soluble vitamin. That's why I told you in the introductory part of the food, I told you vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E and vitamin K are nothing but the fat soluble vitamins. The absorption, assimilation, digestion of these vitamins will be taken care by bile juice. Right? All fat soluble vitamins, clear? So these vitamins are solubilized, absorbed in our body with the help of bile juice. This is one function. Second function is, clear? It activates the other enzymatic processes, helps in assimilation of vitamins, and then it also helps in emulsification of fats. What do you mean by emulsification? In chemistry, you might come across this terminology, the process of conversion of large fat globules into smaller fat globules, fine, is what is known as emulsification. Emulsification is also brought about by bile juice. This is the function of bile juice in digestion. Now, the function of liver, as I told you, multifunctional organ. Liver helps in the synthesis of vitamin A. That is nothing but retinol. We have told retinol. The deficiency of retinol leads to color blindness. Clear. So the other functions of liver is it helps the synthesis of vitamin A, it helps the synthesis of other proteins and vitamins. Clear. Then it maintains body temperature by liberating heat. It helps in the synthesis of blood proteins like prothrombin, fibrinogen, which you have studied in the circulatory system as far as the clotting of blood is concerned. Then it helps in the secretion, it helps in the formation of glycogen. That process is known as glycogenesis. How many glucose molecules are combined together to form glycogen. You all very well know glycogen is a polysaccharide, whereas it is formed by the combination of many molecules of monosaccharides like glucose. This process of conversion of glucose into glycogen in the liver is called glycogenesis. This takes place whenever excess amount of glucose is there in our body. Clear. Then when a person is starving or fasting or patient, bedridden, could not have enough or adequate food, at that time the process of breakdown of glycogen takes place. This is what we call as glycogenolysis. The meaning is here itself, glycogenolysis. Lysis means breakdown. When a polysaccharide is broken down, it leads to the formation of monosaccharides. When this takes place, there will be a liberation of water molecule as well. So in the liver, both the storage function takes place, glycogen is stored, clear, and when it is required, the vice versa process is taken, that is glycogen is broken down to glucose molecules, and glucose molecules are released whenever energy is required. So both storage and as well as food supplying functions also done. So that's why I told you multifunctional organ. Clear. It helps in the formation of urea in our body. That part you might have covered in excretion chapter, whoever might have taught you. The ornithine cycle takes place, or we call it as urea cycle also, because in our body also after digestion and assimilation ammonia is formed. Once ammonia is formed, this ammonia is combined with 3 amino acids like arginine, citrulline and ornithine. Thereby it gets converted to urea. Urea is least toxic and eliminated out through urine. So liver helps in this ornithine cycle also. That is nothing but the process of conversion of ammonia to urea. That's why I told you liver is a multifunctional organ. Going to pancreas, Pancreas is a heterocrine gland. We have told you this part in my introduction part. Heterocrine gland, that is nothing but a mixed gland, common compound gland. One part of it acts as an exocrine gland, one part of it acts as an endocrine gland. The exocrine part we have talked here because we are talking about enzymes, and the contribution of pancreas in digestion is about exocrine part. That part is known as pancreatic acini. Pancreatic acini. Just to highlight and to know about neat points, the endocrine part of pancreas is known as islets of Langerhans. That is made up of 3 cells: alpha cells, beta cells, and gamma cells. Alpha cell secretes glucagon, beta cell secretes insulin. That part sometime later we'll discuss, which is not there in digestion. Clear? But just to remember, if you go to first year medical, they say pancreas, the islets of Langerhans, is made up of 5 types of cells, and gamma cell secretes hormones like somatostatins, anti-growth hormone. That's the endocrine part. But now here in digestion chapter, we have to talk about the exocrine part. The exocrine part of pancreas is known as pancreatic acini. Pancreatic acini. It secretes pancreatic juice. Right? This pancreatic juice also comes from pancreas, combines with the hepatopancreatic duct, a common duct that brings both bile juice and pancreatic juice separately to first part of the small intestine known as ileum. Clear? There it comes. Fine. Duodenum, after that ileum is there. In the ileum part it comes. Clear? So their digestion will be completed. Pancreatic juice is also alkaline in nature, because already I told you in the stomach acidic medium will be end whenever the food enters into small intestine. As far as the purpose of digestion is concerned, it takes place in alkaline medium in the small intestine, and moreover we have seen here that bile juice is also alkaline. So here pancreatic juice is also alkaline. It also produces around 1 liter in normal adult healthy person. The pancreatic juice has enzymes like pancreatic amylase. Don't get confused with the amylase of salivary amylase. I have told you already here, salivary amylase, the amylase enzyme that is produced by salivary glands in the mouth is known as salivary amylase, which is comparatively a simple enzyme that digests the simple sugars like amylose. Whereas the pancreatic amylase is a very complex enzyme, and it also works on complex sugar molecules like amylopectin. In your biomolecule chapter, you might have studied about this compound lipids or conjugate. I mean to say the conjugated proteins, where the protein molecule along with other molecules. So amylopectin. Amylo is a sugar, whereas pectin is a protein part. Clear? One carbohydrate material and another protein compound, conjugated proteins, what we call usually. So amylopectin is a complex molecule which is a part of starch. So starch digestion starts in the mouth with the help of salivary amylase, whereas it gets completed in the intestine with the help of pancreatic amylase. Apart from that, clear? Also one more enzyme is known as pancreatic lipase. Now again, to correct here, in the gastric juice we have told you, gastric lipase, I told you it helps in the digestion of simple lipids, and moreover I told you that here the HCl helps in emulsification, where the larger fat globules are broken down to smaller fat globules, and simple lipids. The pancreatic amylase and pancreatic lipase. The pancreatic lipase helps in the digestion of compound lipids. Apart from this, right, it has trypsin, the enzymes like trypsin. It has then chymotrypsin. Yeah. These they help in the digestion of proteins. They help in the digestion of trypsin and chymotrypsin. They help in the digestion of proteins. When they are also enzymes, but not named as per the nomenclature of enzymes, like how I told you the enzymes of pepsin and renin in stomach. So here also trypsin and chymotrypsin, they work in highly alkaline medium. This trypsin and chymotrypsin helps in the digestion of proteins. Fine. The chymotrypsin digests those proteins which are specifically having phenylalanine in them, the amino acid. So trypsin also helps in digestion of proteins. Chymotrypsin also helps in digestion of cholecystokinin. One more enzyme will be there. Hormones will be there. See, this is the role of pancreatic juice. Then later we have to talk about intestinal glands. So in the intestine, at the base of the intestine, clear, we have intestinal glands here. So these intestinal glands, they secrete intestinal juice. What they secrete? Intestinal juice. This intestinal juice has enzymes. Enzymes like sucrase, maltase. Right? Example I have told you. Sucrase and maltase. What is the function of these enzymes? Fine. Then they also have carboxypeptidases, carboxypeptidases, right? Peptidases, carboxypeptidases, right? All these enzymes are there in the intestinal juice. So the sucrase, maltase, lactase, these enzymes helps in the digestion of oligosaccharides or disaccharides, they convert them into monosaccharides because the final product of digestion is basic compounds. These peptidase and chemopeptidase, carboxypeptidases, they will be tripeptidases, dipeptidases, fine. These enzymes help in the digestion of proteins, that is the amino acids. So thereby, after all this which takes place till here, it takes place in the stomach, fine. It takes place in the saliva mouth, this gastric gland digestion in the stomach, all these three contribution of these three digestive juices takes place in the intestine. So in the intestine, digestion will be completed. After the digestion is completed, the final product of digestion is carbohydrates, the polysaccharides of carbohydrates, that is starch and whatever we consume, fine, that will be converted to basic molecules like glucose, fructose, fine, because they are the simple compounds, fine, monosaccharides. So carbohydrates, larger carbohydrates or whatever carbohydrates we eat in whichever form, finally they will be converted to glucose. Whenever we eat proteins, these proteins will be get converted to amino acids, because amino acids are nothing but the building blocks of proteins. You all very well know that. So whenever we consume fats, oils, they will be converted to lipids, fine. They will be converted to glycerol and lipids, fine. Clear, glycerol and lipids. Then other vitamins will be digested, fine, and because vitamins are also basically proteins. Then we have nucleosidases, nucleosidases digest the nucleosides, nucleotidases digest the nucleotides, that is DNA and RNA, because we also consume DNA and RNA. Don't get confused, fine. Every cell has DNA and RNA. So plant cells also, animal cells also, whatever we consume in the form of vegetables and fruits and meat, eggs, milk, whatever, has of course very much true DNA and RNA. Our digestive system is so powerful that we can digest nucleic acids also because of the enzymes like nucleosidases and nucleotidases. So they are also digested. Each and everything will be digested. After digestion, assimilation starts, absorption starts, assimilation, absorption starts. So this absorption, once these molecules are there in the intestine, we have microvilli. This microvilli helps in the absorption of the digested food, thereby energy is supplied to all parts of the body. This absorption of the food and energy takes place in the intestine because it has all the alimentary canal has four membranes: serosa, muscularis, submuscularis and mucosa. So these layers they absorb. They are the layers of the alimentary canal. They can ask in NEET also these layers, fine. So serosa, mucosa, submucosa and muscularis, fine. So these layers, are found present in the intestine also. So in the intestine, absorption of the digested food takes place with the help of villi and microvilli. Here absorption and transportation, assimilation takes place with the help of active transport, facilitated transport and also by diffusion. Clear? So these three simple concepts will take place in the small intestine. Digestion takes place after digestion. Absorption in the form of energy in the form of ATP is utilized, fine. After that, the undigested waste material is passed on to large intestine. We have discussed that large intestine consists of large intestine. Why it is known as large? Because the lumen is large here. That's why it is known as large intestine, and it is further divided into three parts: ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon. Then it leads to rectum. Rectum leads to anus. The undigested waste is passed on to large intestine. So in the large intestine, no digestion, no absorption takes place. If in case in the undigested waste, if there is excess amount of salts or water or few vitamins, that will be reabsorbed in the very first part of the large intestine, that is ascending colon. Later, slowly, secretion takes place there. The secretion of mucin takes place. Secretion of mucin and mucus takes place. That helps in the passage of undigested waste. This mucin is nothing but that gives color, because that color is also to the feces is also given by the bile pigment bilirubin and biliverdin. Clear? Then from ascending colon it comes to transverse colon, from transverse colon to descending colon. When it comes to descending colon, you feel for defecation, and later it will be temporarily stored in rectum. After some time it has to be eliminated out because it's a waste. It is a waste formed in the body. It is a toxic compound. You cannot store in the body. Temporarily stored in the rectum, a small chamber like organ. The rectum leads to anus. In the anus we have anal sphincter muscles that allows the free flow or the passage of this defecation and passage of this feces, right? The process of elimination of the waste through the anus is known as a defecation. Don't get confused. Excretion is absolutely different. Defecation is absolutely different. Many students have this problem. In high schools also some students get confused there. Fine. In excretion, urine formation takes place. That is known as micturition. In digestion, feces formation, stool formation takes place. The removal of that is known as defecation through anus. Fine. In the anus we have anal sphincter muscles. So those anal sphincter muscles, they move, they control the passage of waste. Once waste comes out, no backflow. That's what the function of anal sphincter muscles. They prevent the backflow of the waste. That process as defecation. After that, certain disorders are there, which are disorders like indigestion, wherein the incomplete digestion takes place, proper digestion will not take place. Vomiting due to some infection in the mouth, in the stomach, fine, or due to some oily, or some people are allergic to proteinous food or oil food, so vomiting takes place. Nausea. What is nausea? Vomiting like feeling, you feel like puking out, you feel like vomiting, but it won't come, fine. So that's what is nausea. Vomiting. Dehydration. What is dehydration? Loss of excess amount of water along with the ions, minerals, is what is known as dehydration. It's also one of the disorder. Then diarrhea or loose motions, also one of the disorder of digestive system. Why they are known as disorders? Because they are concerned with the system, digestion system. Infection is different, disorder is different. Disease where whole complete body is involved, that is known as disease. Many diseases at a time is known as syndrome. Infection takes place of an organ. Disorder is of organ system. Disease where complete body is involved. Where syndrome, many diseases, many symptoms are there at the same time is known as syndrome. So I hope it's clear that between the terminology, infection, disorder, disease and syndrome. Disorder is always concerned with a system, organ system. That's why we study disorders of digestive system, disorders of respiratory system, disorders of circulatory system, disorders of various other systems we study. So here this is a loose motion, fine, and diarrhea, dysentery is also known as dysentery. We'll tell the difference in each chapter. Dysentery, diarrhea, loose motions, fine, clear. They are all the disorders. And also constipation, where you feel pain in the intestine or hard digestion. So that's what is known as constipation, clear. Vomiting, nausea, constipation, digestion, indigestion, diarrhea, loose motions, and one more we have to discuss, jaundice also. It is the disorder of the liver rather, fine, but wherein the jaundice, there are three types of jaundice. One is hemolytic jaundice, and the obstructive jaundice is there, where the obstruction or the stoppage takes place in the bile, so in the gallbladder. So obstructive jaundice, where the person feels like yellow colored nails, yellow colored urine, yellow colored skin, and yellow colored urine also. So this is what the jaundice. Jaundice is different from hepatitis. Don't get confused. Hepatitis we will study in the 4th chapter, 2nd year, report to health. It is the infection of the liver. Jaundice is a disorder of the liver. In both, same organ is involved, so say certain symptoms are very common, same they are. But here jaundice, so in fact briefly we have completed the syllabus. Whatever the remaining part is there, whenever we start the NEET, we will talk about that. Then and there only we will clear the doubts. Fine, we will talk about that. So most probably in the next class I will start locomotion movements. Once I complete these two digestion also over, then the locomotion. Either I will start NEET of digestion, or I will talk about locomotion. This we will plan. So keep studying. God bless you. Good luck. Take care.